Parti. Bonjour tout le monde, nous sommes live. Laissez-moi juste rapidement regarder si ça marche vraiment. Je m'appelle Christelle Pilot et je suis coach. J'aide les parents à recapturer leur liberté. Donc, c'est revoir en fait quelles sont les priorités, revoir qu'est-ce qui nous fait vibrer en tant que personne et surtout à avoir une équipe à la maison. Falsche, oui, I'm not speaking the right language right now. Because usually with Slava, we are used to speak French together. So that's why I don't have the right language right now. So I start again in the right language, in English. So hello, everybody. I'm happy to have you here right now. So my name is Christelle Pilot, and I am a coach for parents. I help parents to recapture freedom, so to build a team at home and to know what really matters to the parents, to the person, as well as eventually changing career. And I'm very, very pleased to have Slava with us today. And Slava, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you have done a lot of things. But I know that today we are going to speak about burnout, about self-care, about how to go through this period a little bit better. So it's for you. Just tell us, Slava, where are you from? Where do you live right now? And what do you do?
Thank you so much, Christelle. This is a real pleasure for me to be here with you guys and to be able to share, to be part of your awesome initiative. My name is Slava Gergova, and as my name clearly indicates, I come from France, right? I was born actually and raised in Bulgaria, which is a little country in Eastern Europe. And while preparing the interview for today, I just realized that it's been 20 years since I live abroad. I'm expat for 20 years. 2021. This is huge. This was not the plan, clearly not the plan to end up in Frankfurt, Germany. Germany was never part of the plan. I'm a mom of dragon. I have one 3.5-year-old Whirlpool at home. What I am, professionally spoken, I am a licensed clinical psychologist and I am neuroscientist. And I actually like saying that I know both the software and the hardware of our emotions, of our thoughts, the way we think, the way we behave. And that actually helps me a great deal in my job. I work as a psychotherapist for expats, and I serve here locally in Frankfurt, Germany, the international community in 4 languages. And I also serve the French expat community across the world from North America to Southeast Asia. Through online therapy in this case.
Great. Thank you very much for being here. So I have been at one of your conference like 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and it was about burnout or parental burnout. And I really loved all the points that you explained during this conference. I was like, yes, yes, yes. And so that's why I'm very, very happy to have you here. And maybe you can again share what you explained last time and what is important to do when we feel that maybe we are slowly but surely in the direction of burnout.
Yeah, sure. I'm so happy that you're saying that. Really, it makes me feel so great that it was helpful and that you liked it. Indeed, we talked about parental burnout a few weeks ago in a close community, only the French expat community here. But this is something that we are getting awareness, especially the last year, more and more. Maybe just before we dive into the subject, maybe tell you how I work. I don't know whether or not this will be interesting and what exactly I do and how I help people who have burnout, maybe.
Yeah.
So, here it comes the thing. Let me just maybe say a few words about who my clients are, because this is a key point, right? And I think some people will connect to that. So my clients are expats. I think in your academy, in your group, you have a big community, yes. International community. Yeah. And they often experience these kind of problems, typically stress, burnout, overwhelm, depression, anxiety. They tell me very often from the outside, it looks like I have the perfect life. Exactly. Like I have it all figured out, but inside of me, it's huge doubt, big unsatisfaction. I can't sleep. I have conflict and tension in the relationships that are the most important for me. And I don't know what to do with all those emotions. Yeah. So emotions is the key word, right?
Yes.
And one of the things I do for my clients is that I hold a space for them to start learning to sit with their emotions in a more comfortable way, right? And then there is something else. I practice the cognitive behavioral therapy. So we believe that our emotions, all this overwhelmed and anxiety and tension, come from the way we think about the world and our reality, right? We all have in our heads a story that we're telling ourselves about how the world is and how it is supposed to be, how life is and how it is supposed to be, and how we are and are supposed to be. And sometimes this story doesn't match the reality.
Exactly.
And this will create a huge emotional tension. So what all my clients have in common is that they have problem with their emotions. Call it whatever you want, sadness, anger, anxiety. And I teach them actually how to get aware of their inner narrative, how to untangle their unproductive ways of thinking and their maybe irrational beliefs. Because after all, the way we feel depends on what we practice. And thinking in a certain way is a certain practice, right? So I can learn to think differently. I can also learn to do some things differently on a daily basis. I believe this is what you do in the academy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I love what you say, because indeed, so I really work a lot about the thoughts, what kind of thoughts we have and how we can change them. And I do that with children and I do that with parents. And what I find really interesting, that there is a lot of person, they think they cannot change what they think.
Oh.
It's just a way of thinking, and it's not really something that we can actually really concretely, actively change. So that's why I find it interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. And it may be very difficult. Look, this is a long run, okay? Changing thought patterns that have accumulated over decades. We're Asian, right? You don't change them overnight, but you can. People can approach, for those who are listening and interested, you can approach this change by small baby steps on a daily basis. So taking action, different habits. It's simply about building different habits on daily basis. And the third thing I do actually for my clients is that I keep them accountable on the journey, because the first step is very important. It may be very difficult, especially when it comes to psychotherapy and mental health. People have a lot of blocks. They feel guilty. My clients, who are a lot of them are top performance, can't easily admit that they need help.
Yes.
And the first step may be a big issue already, but after that comes the consistency. If you want to change something, you need to be consistent. So the third thing that I'm doing is to keep my clients accountable and to be behind them. And every week to ask, did you do your homework? Which I believe you do too, right? In your coaching, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yes. So we have exercises to do. We have challenges, 21-day challenges, to be sure to have this consistency, because without consistency, nothing changes. So maybe you can see, indeed. So, but I think really when it comes to change thoughts, to change patterns, you have no choice to put like a discipline into it and do it again and again and again. And that's the things. Yeah,
repetition and intensity, that's the key word.
Exactly.
So here's the thing, how you change thoughts. You don't start by reinventing yourself. Okay, let's take parents, let's take burnout. It will be maybe the easiest. So all of us have, as parents, we have this image of the perfect parent, right? Of a kind of ideal that we're striving to. We think that we should be like this or like that, being able to, I don't know, craft the toys of our kids, or make homemade meals every day, and stuff like that. So we all have that, okay? But sometimes, and very often, by the way we see ourselves as parents, as we should be as parents, is pretty unrealistic, okay? It's a full-time job, and when you're doing this job, no matter whether you're a single parent or even two parents, partners, families, it's a big job, it's a huge job. And the more I strive for perfection, the more I tend to sacrifice myself at some point, right? I start neglecting my own needs, and I end up tired, right? And the more I am
frustrated, tired and frustrated.
Next. Exactly. Yeah. Frustrated comes next, but first is the fatigue, and the fatigue becomes an exhaustion, okay? And this is the first symptom of burnout. I am exhausted. And when I'm exhausted, what do I try to do? I try to get out of the situation to get rest. So I will get more and more unsatisfied, frustrated, as you said very well. And I will start detaching myself from my kids. This is the second symptom of parental burnout in instance. I get emotionally distance with my children. And when it goes over months, weeks or months, well, at some point I lose my efficiency as a parent, right? And when I lose my efficiency as a parent, I lose all the joy and the fulfillment that I usually feel in parenting. And this is the third symptom. So you have exhaustion, emotional distancing, and lack or loss of efficiency and joy. And then, you know, maybe you have a burnout. Yeah, they're pretty high.
And I would go even, because I have been there, so I know exactly what you're speaking about. And I would say at the end, so for in my case, at the end, it was, I really wasn't happy with the person I was, because usually I like to be good at what I do, and I wasn't good at my job anymore. I wasn't good at my parenting being anymore, and I couldn't really recognize myself. So my self-confidence and my way of looking at me was as bad, very bad at the end, and that it's like pushing you down even more.
Thank you so much for saying that, because this is one of the myths around burnout. You know, I read on the web, yeah, burnout happens all of a sudden while depression evolves and things like this. False. Burnout is a process. It goes over weeks, over months. You only become aware at the very end of the phase if you are not paying attention on all the signs before, right? And the second thing that you said, that is so precious. You read everywhere on the net, you read that burnout is limited to one life domain. Totally false. When you become distant from your children, and when you have the feeling to be an inefficient parent, this is such a huge personal questioning. It cannot stay closed, right? It goes on your whole personality and your whole life. And here's the danger. If you don't take action at that particular moment, you are risking a real depression. And depression, we don't say that often enough, but depression is a mortal disease. It can cause death, right? Through suicide, through a lot of different other aspects. But this is a serious thing, right? It's not about being sad or simply, you know, overwhelmed, irritated. We're really speaking serious stuff here.
Yeah.
So what did you do, by the way, when you realized you did something, I'm sure?
Well, I just changed my life.
And how did you start with?
How I start? So I thought, okay, I cannot do longer like that. So I decided to try to find help with my within my family, with my husband, but he didn't want to hear anything. So I felt even more alone, and was like, okay, so I'm completely alone now. So I have to find by myself. So I have to go inside and to find my own resources. And so well, for me, I knew I was engineer at that time, so I knew that it was not my path, that I couldn't really see the sense in this career. And I know that I need sense, I need motivation, so I decided to change first, to change that, even if it was complicated, because my husband wasn't really happy with the idea. And then slowly because I wasn't happy with my life. I wasn't happy with the relationship I had with my husband anymore. I wasn't happy with my parenting. I was happy with nothing. So it was really like, and I couldn't even stand up the morning. So it was really, really painful to wake up. And I know that a lot of people know me now, and they know that I wake up at 5 now. But at that time, being able to wake up at 8, it was just, and sometimes I had to go back during the afternoon to go back sleeping because I was just exhausted. So I started to change myself. I started to say, okay, it's what I want to do, and I don't care if my husband doesn't want, it's my life. So I started to take myself as the priority. And as I started to do that, I was proud of myself. And it's really interesting, because at that moment where I decided to change my life, I wasn't depressive anymore. So it really was gone, and it was more difficult. I have more to do. And so I can remember once I told my husband, yeah, I have too much. It's just too much with the 2 kids. I had 2 kids at that moment, and my job and the coaching. Yeah, exactly. So it's just far too much. So I really need help. So he told me, then you can just you put your coaching business aside and everything is fine again. No, it's the only thing. It's the only thing that helps me to wake up the morning. So I cannot put that away. And then I started to transform my family, but it was not as easy as people think. But I think really the first thing is that what I want and whatever it takes, so I can say yes to me. And I can say no to others, and that is fine. And I think I started really to proceed like that. And every time someone asks me to do something, it's okay. Should I say yes to them or yes to me?
Yeah. I'm hearing two really huge messages here, and I just want to sum them up. First thing is that you can get out of that. Okay. You don't have, it doesn't have to be for the rest of your life. Burnout has an end, and you can even do it faster if you take some specific steps faster. But there is a way out of it. This is huge thing. People need to really keep the hope. Okay, because when you're down there, I know how it feels. I've been there too. When you're down there, you just don't see anything else. You're in a tunnel, right? You don't see the light at the end of it. It is totally difficult, and at some point it really crushes you, right? It's the point that you can't get up in the morning. But there is a way out, and this doesn't have to last whole your life, and you won't, by the way. And the second thing that you said is put yourself first, and that's clearly my message today for parents who are wondering whether or not they have burnout, or maybe are they have some symptoms of burnout. Maybe that's the case, maybe not. Don't hesitate to reach out for help. But there is maybe here is a change of how we think. We are used to think that we have to be there for our children first, right? So we do most of the things in a certain abnegation, self-sacrifice. We do the things first for our children and then for us. But take it that way. Self-care is actually childcare, and I'll tell you why. Research shows that when parents are exhausted, they neglect their children more often, and they more often become physically and verbally violent.
Yes.
So parents with burnout, which we estimate today is 5 to 10% of all parents, no matter dads and moms, will at some point develop a burnout through their parenting. No matter the age of the children, it can be with babies and with teenagers. So when parents are burnout, they neglect their children, and they can mistreat them at some point, right? So self-care is childcare. And we only need actually to take this idea, the small grain, make it grow in our heads, and take the whole subject through this perspective. So, okay, if self-care is childcare, what could I do to help myself? Exactly. And at the end, what is our duty and role as parents? We need to be stable and grounded for our children. That's what we have to provide. Security and presence. Exactly. But we can't give what we don't have. It's not possible. A client of mine put it in a very nice way. He's actually he's spiritual father for literally hundreds of people. So he has to constantly give hope and gratitude, and teach people to be grateful, and compassion, and all these kind of things. And he came to me with a pretty severe depression. And at the end of the therapy, he said, I realized that I can't do my job. I can't do that for those people if I am an empty tank.
Yes.
And I will quote him forever, I think, because you can't give what you don't have. So parents, start with yourself.
Yeah, and I would go even further. And what I have seen, that if as parents we try to be perfect, and we try to put our job, our partner, our children first, and we after, it's exactly what we teach our children to do, because they do what we do and they don't do what we say. So the problem with that is that if we do that, so we are helping them to go in this direction after. So that's why that when they are going to be teenage or adult or young adults, they are going to do that as well. So they are going to forget themselves, and they are going to put their own kids in front of the boss or whoever. And so why I changed, and why I changed so radically, it's for 2 or 3 things. One, it was I wanted to find myself back. The second was I wanted to have, again, a good relationship with my husband. And the last one, and I think it's the most powerful one for me, it was I want to teach my children to feel free. I want to teach to have the self-confidence to find the career they want, to find the passion they want, and to be courageous enough to have a fulfilled life. And at that moment, it's exactly what you said. I was an engineer. I had a great job, a good loan. We had a lot of money. So from outside, it was perfect, but from inside, it was dead. And I thought at that moment, oh my God, but I cannot teach my children to feel free if I am so empty. It's just not possible. And I have to go first. I have to do the path, to go through the path first in order to help them to go there too. And I think it's the last 10 years, it's this thought is always in my mind. And it's this one helping me to go through big problems when it doesn't work the way I want. But I just cannot stop. So it's just what I want them to understand.
Here's the thing, here's maybe a tool that your audience can benefit from, because this is, you describe it so it's brilliant how you describe it actually. This is indeed the moment when you start feeling that it's too much. You know that it's too much, a part of you knows that it's too much, and somehow you feel obliged, you have to do with all this emergency, and everything becomes urgent and important, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we totally lose the ability to set priorities, and our mind gets in a survival mode, right?
Yes.
So we're literally flipping out at that time, at that moment, and we don't know what to start with. So we end up very often with not doing anything and staying in bed. Yeah. So here's the thing, you can do something for that. We call this in psychotherapy, we call this the paradoxical injunction or paradoxical intervention. So when it feels the most overwhelming, when precisely you feel that you have to do all those things, a lot of things, then you do exactly the opposite. You stop everything and you take half an hour for yourself and you rest. This is totally counter intuitive.
Well, it's a little bit like when we say, okay, if you don't have any time to meditate, then it's exactly the time you should meditate.
Absolutely.
It's exactly the same. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is your brain trying to tell you something. Okay. The problem is we don't listen to what our brain and our minds are trying to tell us. This is precisely when I start feeling that everything is urgent and important, all the tasks, that this is the right moment to do, not to work and try to do them. Exactly the opposite. I stop and I take time for me. Actually, it was my husband. I hope he listens now. He teach me that. You know, when I asked him, this was in the past, he still does that sometimes, but very often when I will ask him to do something because I'm in a rush, you know, my brain is in survival mode and everything is important and urgent, and please help me do that, and we have to do that and that and that. And he very often says, okay, no problem, but I'll take a rest first. And I was going mad. I was like, what? We need to act, you know, we need to do that. And then, yeah, I'll do it, but I need an hour and I'll just, you know, get my mind empty. And for years, I couldn't understand how this person was functioning. Like until I realized that actually he was doing the right thing. And this is precisely when you feel overwhelmed, when your house, there's been an explosion, the dragon has been already there, the whirlpool, and you're exhausted, and you know that you have to clean the kitchen and put some order in your living room and stuff before you authorize, before you allow yourself to rest. Well, you do exactly the opposite. You give yourself permission to do something nice for you before you take care of the world. And by the way, because this is also sometimes in our heads, we don't have to wear the world on our shoulders.
Yes.
The world will take care of itself. It will be fine. Take care of you, of yourself, and the world will take care of itself.
Yeah.
And when you align inside, and this is a brilliant message that you're sending, Christelle, when you align inside, all things in your life start aligning, all right? Yes. The universe, God, whatever life, whatever your beliefs are, will put you on your path what you need, but you have to start with yourself. So parents, allow yourself and give yourself permission to take care of yourselves, and to put yourselves first.
I love what you say, and I very often ask my clients, do you prefer to be a Princess Layla, or do you prefer to be superwoman? And usually they say, well, superwoman because she's so strong and so on. And I say, no, well, the thing is that she's alone. She's alone
Yeah.
and she does everything all the time. And if she's not able to do that, nothing happens. Princess Leia, she has the team, she has everybody around. She can go and have a nap, and then the revolution is going even without her. And as I understood that, I said, okay, I don't have to be Superwoman. It's maybe it looks nice. Tiring, right? And I prefer to have my team. So that's why I help parents to build a team at home. So if I'm not here, they are, and I have only boys at home, but they are fine. They are doing very good. And I might be the leader of the family, but if I'm not there, it works as good as if I am there.
And this applies to all areas of life, no matter, family is a company. I always say family is like business. And this is what the big leaders actually are doing. They put systems on place in a way that it can continue functioning without them. Brilliant job. Bravo, Christelle. So you speak about community. So maybe I will just share something with you. That's true. Community is extremely important. It can be overwhelming when you're abroad because you have to recreate all that. So this is challenging. So the things that you do, for example, with your academy or with the group of parents, it's typically something that people use that. Those are resources around you. Use them and go join the group, Christelle's group of parenthood, and go join the academy, because this is where you will find support and community. And I also invite you, if it's okay, Christelle, go visit my professional business page. We will put it in a comment below. Like it so you can get notification. I'm speaking about self-care and burnout and parenting burnout. Started speaking actually tomorrow at 2 p.m. Time Berlin. I will be speaking about what blocks us and prevents us from allowing ourselves to take care and to self-care, right? Because we all have beliefs. We'll speak about beliefs and what kind of beliefs precisely block us and how I can actually very fast just take them away, out of the way.
Yeah, sometimes we just to know them. Right, that's me. So now I can just be different.
That's me. And when I see that with a distance, I'm like, what? This is such a nonsense. I mean, if this was a friend telling me this, I would say, girl, are you mad?
Yeah, so, I agree.
Yeah, we need to be good friends for ourselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need to be our best friend. Yeah, I agree. Thank you very much for having been with me today. Very pleased and all what you say. So we really have the same point of view, like family is a business. We have to take care of it. We have to communicate the same way. We have to be eventually a leader, but to let the others take responsibility as well. And and not be on the center of everything, and to be a control freak or to do micromanagement. We just can take time and do nothing.
Okay. But the good things, you can work on that, right?
Yeah.
Hire someone, reach out for help, hire someone so they can teach you that and keep you accountable, and you will see change. I always say that to my clients. Actually, this is a client of mine saying this maybe 10 years ago. There is nothing, therapy is not magic, and coaching is pretty much the same. Coaching is the same like therapy, only you're not sick already, so do coaching better before. But this is not magic, but the outcome is absolutely magical if you do the job right.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Christelle, for having me. This was a pleasure.
It was nice. Very nice.
Stay strong.
Bye-bye, everybody, and see you next time.